In this video, we're going to have a look at decimal fractions in algebraic expressions. When adding and subtracting in algebra, you need to remember that you can only put together like terms, meaning that their variables should be exactly the same. And when adding and subtracting, the variables always stay the same. When multiplying and dividing, you always need to determine the sign, the constant, and the variable. In example 1, we need to simplify by adding two terms. We can add these two terms because their variables are exactly the same, meaning they are like terms. When adding, you focus on the constant values in front, the coefficient. So on your calculator, you will type 3,4 plus 11,2, and that will give you 14,6. The variable still stays in x. So here we have 14,6 x's when put together. In example 2, we need to multiply. You can determine the sign and the constant, so the coefficient, using your calculator. So on my calculator, I will type minus 9,9 multiplied by minus 3,42. Calculator will most probably give you the common fraction. Pressing the SD button, you will get the correct decimal answer, and that is 33,858. You need to ensure that you follow the rounding instructions on your question paper. I'm going to round to 2 decimals, so I will write down 33,86. My next step will be to simplify by multiplying the variables. Remember that you indicate the number of x's multiplied in the exponent. So here we have 1x multiplied by another one to get a final number of x's multiplied of 2. In example 3, we now have multiplication as well as addition. But because the two terms in the bracket are not like terms, we cannot add them up. This means we can simplify by multiplying the 3,3 on the outside with each of the terms on the inside of the bracket. I'm going to start off multiplying 3,3 by 0,45. And remember, this you can do on your calculator, and that will give me a rounded value of 1,49. And then remember, when you multiply, you need to determine the variable. So here we have 0 x's multiplied by 1x, so in total we have 1x. Now I'm going to multiply the 3,3 with the 2,82. And again, rounding to 2 decimals, this will be 9,31. And here there are no x's being multiplied. This is my final answer because these two terms are not like terms. In example 4, once again we have addition and subtraction, and this time also division. We cannot add or subtract because these are not like terms, so we're only going to divide. When dividing, you need to remember that every term in the numerator has to be divided by the denominator. So I'm also going to divide plus 5,6x squared by 0,2x, and I'm going to divide minus 3x by the 0,2x. First off, I'm going to take my calculator and divide 0,4 by 0,2 to get a value of 2. Now I need to divide my variables. A reminder that when we divide variables, you can take the exponent in the numerator and subtract from it the denominator's exponent. So here we'll have x to the power of 2 left. Next up, I'm going to take plus 5,6 and divide it by 0,2. This will give me 28. And for the variables, I have an exponent of 2 minus 1, which is x to the power of 1. And finally, I'm going to divide minus 3 by 0,2 to get minus 15, and the x's will simplify to no x's left. And again, this is my final answer because these three terms are not like terms. In example 5, we have addition, but before we can add, there's still a power that we need to calculate. So I'm going to start off squaring the minus 0,3. That will give me 0,09. Next, I also need to square the x squared. And here I'm going to remind you that the exponential law says when we have two powers, we multiply them. So in this case, we will have x to the power of 4. And now we need to add the 1,2 x to the power of 4. Because these two terms have variables that look exactly the same, they are like terms, which means we can add them up. 0,09 plus 1,2 is 1,29, and the variable when adding stays constant, x to the power of 4. From all these examples, you can now see that decimal fractions can be incorporated into any algebra. The basics of algebra stay the same, and for the decimals, you can choose to determine or calculate using your grade 8 knowledge, or you can use your calculator.